Welcome back. Welcome back. This is a 3-for-1 special. I was posting items, and as I was posting, people were buying. Okay, woo woo. If you've seen my How eBay Works videos, then you might remember I mentioned that a good majority of our sales comes from offers. Sometimes we send offers to buyers. If a potential buyer looks at an item multiple times or even puts the item in their cart, then eBay will send us the option to send them an offer, hopefully as a little nudge. 2 of these 3 items were sold with an offer. Sometimes it's worth it to bargain, and sometimes we just accept the offer as is, depending on the item, how many views or offers it's had in the past, and how long we've had the item listed. I don't know why I thought I could demonstrate the color changes with the lights on. Girl, turn the flash off. This item hasn't been up for too long, and it was pretty popular, but when the offer came up, I just said, it's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho.
The people love UNC merch. Go Hills! I had to find something that would keep this item protected while shipping since it's foam. So why not use a diploma roll my degree was in?
UNC Legacy alum.
I've had this since, not gonna age myself, but I just started decorating my space and hung up my diploma. Perfect timing because the roll was empty and it was the perfect size. Did y'all see that video on Instagram where she bent down and her knees got big and she said, "What is them called?" That's how I feel looking at my wrist right now. Why is it so large with a crease in it? Anyway, I like to include a handwritten thank you note on the packing slip. I don't know if they read it or not, but I still do it. After that, I put everything in the envelope and voila. Let's switch gears a little bit. For the second item, I'm going to show how I list items, and then I'll show me packaging up. Don't mind me. You will see me go through Clorox wipes. I don't know. I just feel that everything needs a fresh start. Everything needs to be sanitized, especially if I'm sending it to someone else. I listed this deep frying pot set one night, and by the next morning when I woke up, it already sold. So I just knew I had to share it with you. Take advantage of this moment and give y'all a video. The first thing I do when I'm listing an item is check whether it's new or used, and if it's used, assess the condition. Obviously, this item was new and in the box. I don't even know how long it had been under the cabinet. You know that New Year's cleaning everyone was talking about? Yeah, I took advantage of my daddy's inability to sit down and his neck for cleaning to help me get everything better organized. In doing so, we came across quite a few items that would be good to list on eBay, and this deep fryer set was one of them. Is anybody else's daddy like this? Just after a certain age, I don't know if it's a certain age or if he's been like this his whole life. I think he's been like this his whole life. Sitting down and doing nothing is just not in the question. Or if he's not actively in my way, then he's wasting time. Shout out to you, Daddy, because he loves getting appearances. He loves making cameos in these videos. What you saw me doing was taking it out and inspecting it, ensuring that everything was untouched and still in the original package. And now I'm setting it up to take pictures for the listing to show that everything is still enclosed in plastic, the instructions are there, etc. After taking the pictures, I like to do research on what the exact item or comparable item is selling for. The idea is to beat the store price with shipping included. So the amount I list the item for plus the price the USPS would charge for shipping needs to be less than the store price because we have to incentivize the buyers, right? Why would someone get it from me when they can get it from the store at the same price or just a little bit less? I didn't see an exact match, but the JV and textiles look similar, so I lock my brain in at $24.99. So far, that's the price to beat. Let's try a different search term. We see similar results. Once I see JV Textiles at Kohl's for $39.99, I know it's only going up from there, so I go ahead and use $24.99 as my guide. The next step is to actually create the listing. Even though it's new, I went back and forth about listing it as open box versus new because I did actually open the box, but ultimately I decided to list it as new since the box itself was never wrapped in plastic or sealed and the actual pot was still in the shrink wrap, obviously untouched. I rarely use the similar listings because I don't want there to be a single discrepancy on the details they use versus the details of my items because buyers can be finicky. But in all fairness, I guess you want to get what you think you're getting. So to keep confusion to a minimum, I just create the listing myself. On occasion, depending on the item, I may use a preset listing, but normally I just click on continue without a match and fill in the blanks. Choosing a title for your listing is just as tricky and important as choosing a title for a YouTube video. You want to make sure that your title is something catchy and common. The search string has to be something that people would think of naturally. This listing started as Continental Electric Deep Fryer, but if people don't know the brand, then they might not search for that. A stovetop deep fryer is the more general term, making the listing more likely to show up in search results. Even though you can look at the pictures and see that the brand is Continental Electric, I wanted to be sure that all people knew this was not an electric deep fryer, because not everyone reads the description or reviews all the pictures before making a purchase. Now I'm just going through and filling in all of the details. Even though I put this information here in the listing, I also take pictures of the box showing this same information, because the information needs to be everywhere, okay? You cannot leave anything to chance. Not Chance the Rapper, not Real Chance of Love, no chances. Our practices have been shaped by our experiences, as with anything. There have been times where someone has purchased something from us and then saw another listing and asked to cancel the order because they have allergies. For example, we sold some Nick Out filters and someone wanted to cancel their order of a decorative storage box because they didn't want their box to they didn't want the storage box to smell like cigarette smoke. Understandable. So we explained that just because we sell something doesn't mean we've used it or have a use for it. But to avoid confusion, we've made a disclaimer that items are not stored near pets or smoke. After inputting all the information and writing the description, it's time to set the price. eBay will show you similarly sold items over the past 90 days and how much they sold for, as well as whether they were sold with free shipping or by a paid shipping. Notice that these fryers are electric and not stovetop, so the price we got from our search with J&B Textiles should still be the one we use. I went to set the price and realized in order for me to make the item price and the shipping price less than the overall store price, I had to weigh the item first. So I went to go put it on the scale and measure it, because USPS uses weight, measurement, and distance from the buyer to the seller to determine the shipping price. If we take the highest amount that it could be for shipping, 13 plus 15 would get 28, which is a little higher than our goal price to beat, but we have offers turned on, so there is still a little bit of wiggle room. Even though I just posted this last night, here I am getting ready to package it up. It's just habit. I have to double check it and make sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. Leave a calculator emoji in the comments if you're one of the people who have to make sure that math didn't change and 1 plus 1 still equals 2 when you're taking the test. It was shaking too much for me, so I'm adding some packaging tissue to help the pot not move as much. What's shaking are the handles from the basket on the inside of the pot, but since it's still in shrink wrap, there's not anything I can do about that. I just want to try to minimize as much noise as possible so nobody in transit gets curious. With as curious people can get, they can also be a little rough. We appreciate USPS workers, and I can also understand that maybe my back would be hurting too after a day of lifting packages and transporting packages, and sometimes they might not be as gentle as the package might require. So I like to wrap things in a little bubble wrap. Somebody said Grace already in a cardboard box. Okay, well, now the cardboard box is protected. Now we have to get the correct weight and measurements, because if you do not put the correct weight and measurements, USPS will show up at the buyer's house and ask for the remaining sum of whatever the package costs versus whatever measurements were input upon sale, and expect to be paid before they leave the package. But that's a story for another time. Even though UPS seems to be cheaper, I normally just always go with USPS because I know that it goes everywhere and they have insurance on packages. Well, not everywhere. Some rural areas have to use a PO box. Especially if the buyer chooses USPS, I don't want to choose something differently, such as UPS, just because it's cheaper, especially if I don't know the circumstances around where they live, you know? When I'm done printing the packing slip and the shipping label, I like to leave them positive feedback, hoping they'll reciprocate and leave us positive feedback, as well as send them a coupon for 20% off of their next purchase. insert the thank you note, affix the label, and we're out of there. The last item for this video was the sweater dress cardigan. We had the item listed for $45. The potential buyer sent us an offer for $28, which was kind of lowish for what we had it listed for. We sent back a counter offer of $35, which was $10 off the original listing price. I thought I had footage of me sending the counter offer, but I can't find it. They sent back an offer of $30. I wasn't really too over the moon about 30, but it's better than nothing, and the item had been here for a while. So in the spirit of Danita, it's Christmas again, we went ahead and accepted the offer. After reviewing the buyer's feedback from previous purchases to make sure it wasn't any funny business going on. Sometimes people make offers to get the item low, and then as soon as they get the item, they find all sorts of problems that may not even exist in an attempt to get a refund and keep the item, so the seller will be out of merchandise and money. If you watched my last eBay video where I was packing up an outfit, then you know the last thing I do, or the first thing I do before packaging it up, is do a re-inspection to make sure everything still looks exactly as it did when I listed the item. Everything looked good here, so I tried to do my department store fold and of course enclose the cardigan in plastic so that just in case the envelope gets damaged in shipping, the clothes don't get dirty. And then you know the routine from here: measure, weigh, thank you note on the package slip, affix the label, package it up, and off it goes. Depending on what time it is or where I am that day, I normally take the packages outside to the mailman, my bestie, who I was gonna have give y'all a shout out, but he wasn't there that day. It was someone else because he was off. And I knew he was off because he told me, plus I have learned his schedule. Oh my God, I know how the USPS schedule of off days work. Is that bad? And I actually walked up to the guy and said, "You're not supposed to be here." And then he turned around and he wasn't there because it was, you could guess that was awkward. Anyway, they're gone.